If you're wondering if you should get rails for your Sliger case, the answer is yes. These crazy lads transform your rack-mounted case from hard work and a lot of holding up heavy boxes into a symphony of ease of maintenance, system flexibility, and above all everything else, internet forum school of cool bonus points. They can be a bit tricky to install, so this video is for you if you need a hand in the installation procedure or just want to take a peek into a world you might be missing out on. Great, now that you've bought the rails and received the package containing them from shipment, it's now time to install. This could also be the time to get confused, because boy, can these rails be backwards to install. Not to worry though, I've got your back. Full disclosure, Sliger provided me with these rails, but no money exchanged hands, and I have full editorial control over what I can say about them. And with that out of the way, here's what you get in the package if you lay it out nicely on the table. But it's not really a useful view, so let's start with the screws, because you can't mess these up. Included with the rails you'll get this little baggie. There are the M4 keep nuts. These are used together with the M4 panhead screws, we'll get to those later, for attaching the rear support bracket to the slide members. Then there are the M4 long screws, which are used together with the rack post dimples to attach front and rear brackets of the rail slide members to your rack itself. Of course, you can't forget about the M4 panheads. These attaches the rear support brackets to the outer slide members, and they'll also serve as the screw attaching the inner slide member to the chassis itself. Lastly, there are the rack post dimples. These are besties with the M4 long screws, and through the power of friendship, they will secure the front and rear of the rails to the rack. Inner and outer slide members? What's that, you may ask? To minimize the risk of confusion, I suggest removing half the stuff of the table so you only have a single set of rails to work with. The small bob here is the front support bracket. It's hard to misplace, so it can rest in its final destination. Let's take away the screws and look at the rear support brackets here. The rail kit ships with 3 different lengths of the rear support brackets, and you need to choose the one that matches your rack. The short one is great for very shallow racks, the long one is great for very deep racks, and the medium one is the one that most people will probably use. Should you be in doubt, grab your yardstick and take note of the length between the front and rear rack rails of your rack. As you can see here, I have a very shallow rack measuring only 37 centimeters, so I'll lay out the yardstick on the table and then mock up which rear support bracket I'm going to use. As you can see, even the short rear rack support is cutting it close. Now put away the rear rack supports, because this is where the potential confusion can start. Here is the entire rail with all of its 3 parts. Even though the text is upside down right now, this right here is the front of the rail and this right here is the back of the rail. The outer rail component that you see here, the inner rail component is the one in here. It can slide within, and then sandwiched in between the two is the middle rail component. Now, in all documentation I can find, you only hear about the inner and the outer component, and the middle component is either regarded as part of the outer component or just disregarded at all. I think that's a shame, because it adds to the overall confusion of the rails themselves. Anyways, the inner rail component is what you mount the case to. So this would be right now on the far side of the rack, and the case would be mounted here. And if we turned it around, of course, the case would be on this side. At this point, it should be pretty easy to imagine the case being bolted on here. And then the inner rail compartment can slide out until you hear a click, where it's caught on its catching lug that you can't see right now because it's covered up by the outer rail. The middle rail compartment is now free to move, and the inner rail is fixed to the middle one, and this one can slide out until it is caught. Imagine now that the case is hanging outside of the rack. You're doing your maintenance, and when you're done, I'm just going to flip it around so you can see here. You can depress this retaining pin. Right now the inner rail, as before, is fixed. You can depress the retaining pin, which will allow the inner rail to move freely again. Once the inner rail reaches the retaining nut of the middle rail, the inner rail itself has the ability to press down on that one. And once that's done, the inner rail is now completely flush with the middle rail, but the middle rail can now move
with the rails to allow them to compress entirely. So this is how the rail works. Inner, middle, outer rail.
Anyways, let's get back to the video. As I said before, you need to use the M4 panhead screws to secure the inner rail members to the case. Let's do that now. You should attach the inner rail so that it sits as close to the front of the case as it can and has the locking pin facing the back of the case. At this point, the rails are taking shape. You can see the front of the outermost rail member is supposed to go to the front of the case, and the middle rail member here, when extended out all the way and into its locking pin, you can almost sense how this will connect with the inner slide rail of the case when the rails are fully extended from the rack itself. I guess now will be a great time to play a bit with the rack, if you know what I mean. Now go to your destination rack and bring the outer and middle rail members. You should also bring the front and back supports to the rails. Notice here that the middle rail member cannot leave the outer rail member from the front as it's locked in place, but I do suggest removing it entirely while installing, which can be done by sliding it out from the back. This is due to the fact that when the outer rails does not have the middle rail installed, it'll be lighter, it'll be easier to hold, and the installation will just go smoother. Reiterating on the screwing around aspect of this video, we need the rack post dimples and the M4 long screws now. We don't need these cheeky bastards yet, just these two. The void space that I'm putting my case into is 4 rack units tall, but the case I'm installing is just 3. I'll be using the bottom 3 units of these 4. So now assemble your outer rail member and front support bracket and line it up with the 2 rack holes that make up the top of the lowest designated rack unit and the bottom of the next one over. The outer rail member and front support bracket shall both be behind the rail. So now you know what hole to put it into, but how do you get it in there? Take a pair of rack post dimples, of which you put one into the lowest of your 2 target holes. Then mash an M4 long screw through the hole and dimple and hold it tight with a screwdriver. Now pull up the outer rail and front support bracket combo, align them with the screw and tighten down the entire party. At this point everything will be wobbly, but it should be secure. If this sounds or looks like it's the slightest bit of a fiddly task, then I can assure you it really is. We removed the middle rail member before because it makes it much easier to hold up the outer rail member in an awkward angle while fastening it to the rack itself. It should be a walk in the park to fasten the upper M4 screw now. Just remember to align the 2 dimples so they don't sit at odd angles. At this time, you should install the middle rail member back into the outer rail member. I've moved the camera to the back of the rack to make this easier to view. The middle rail member has 2 holes on the locking tab, and you need to make sure that the front hole is in the lower position, that the rear hole is in the top position, and that the locking tab is in the rear. You can then insert the middle member back into the outer rail member. This can only be done from behind, but the locking tab prevents you from doing this anywhere else, so don't worry. You won't be able to slide the middle rail member in completely before you depress the retaining pin, so do that. It's time to use the M4 locking screws. I think you should have a number 7 wrench at your side. This will come in handy at a later time. Here's the outer rail member and the back rail support. Yes, I know we just connected the outer member to the case, but I've taken it out here to show you what I mean. The back rail support is supplied with a few slits that'll allow it to be extended or shortened until it matches with the exact depth of your rack. To mate the rear support bracket with the outer rail, just fasten it with the nut and M4 long bolt. This is relatively easy to do outside of the rack, but doing it outside of the rack makes it hard to get the exact distance between the 2 rack posts, so I suggest doing it inside the case after you've mounted the outer rail member to the front of the case like we did before. I've moved the camera to the back of the rack to make it easier to view. I'm struggling because the rails are a smidgen too short to fit my rack, but I've got a tip for you if you should be in the same predicament as me. Here's the back of the outer rail member that I've taken outside of the rack so you can better see what's going on. I've got 2 mounting holes that line up with the slots in the rear support, but if you slide it all the way back, there's no hole to mount. Mark these two areas with a Sharpie. Pro tip, mark both of the rear supports while you're at it. Then just drill them out with a metal bit. These steps, of course, are only needed if you're in an extremely shallow rack like I am. Now insert the rear support bracket over the outer rail member. It should fit with friction at this point, and mount it to the rack using the aforementioned rack dimples along with the M4 long screws. Just like last time, the dimples may need some finessing to sit flush with the rack, but it's well worth the time to make sure that they do. The last step with the outer rails here is to attach the rear support bracket with the inner rail members themselves using the M4 keep nuts and the M4 panhead screws. If you can remove the side of the rack, this is considerably easier. And since I drilled my own holes and am not using the slits, I guess I could do this outside of the rack, but the method I'm showing here is true for all installation methods. I suggest holding down the keep nut on the outer side of the rail member with your finger and attaching the panhead screw to the inside of the rail, since you have full access to the screw this way. If you need more torque, then use the number 7 wrench from before to tighten down the screws. Now verify that you can slide the middle member out until it's locked by the retaining pin, and then rail installation is almost complete. This clip here is not necessarily super necessary, but it's the same view from the front of the rack in case you're confused. Congratulations, you're at the end of your journey and we are now ready to install the rack case into the rails. This is also one of the most fiddly steps. This is because that these are rather cheap rails and don't have any ball bearings inside, and since I've not taken the liberty to loop them up, they do have a rough slide action. The inner rail members also have retaining pins, and these also need to be depressed before the rack can slide into the middle rail members. Should you ever want to remove the rack again, let's say for deeper maintenance, you need to press these retaining pins once again. Now you can button up the top of your case, and once that's done, it's pretty much just push in the rack one last time. Remember to depress the retaining pins on the middle rail members, and you're off to the races. Very cool. There you have it. One fully completed rack, at least for now. I think that's what we all say, right? It's done. For now. Hey, if you like this video, you should check out this video in particular where I review the case that I just put the rails on. I think it's pretty cool. If you just want to see more homelab stuff, then I have an entire playlist of that. You can go check that out as well. And if you don't want to do that, I wish you a good day. If you do want to do that, I wish you a good day, but I think you get the point. Bye.